What's up agents, Epic Slayers here. Today I want to go over all the confirmed brand sets, gear talents and weapon talents within the Division 2 and just discuss them with you guys in detail. Now if you enjoy this video, please do not hesitate to drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are not subscribed already, and if you are then please turn on notifications and let's get into the video. So agents, I want to start off with the brand sets within the Division 2. They're kind of like gear sets where you have a certain number of brand sets on and you get bonuses for every piece of brand set that you currently have on, and you can mix and match between other brand sets within the game. Now we currently have 8 confirmed brand sets. I'm going to go over those and just discuss what we are going to be getting with each of those brand sets. And I want you guys to get involved and leave your comments down below and let me know what you're most excited about with these new brand sets. So the first one is Overlord Armaments. We get plus 7.5% armor percent bonus, plus 5% weapon damage, and plus 10% damage to elites. Now 7.5% armor percent bonus is when you have one piece of brand set on. The 5% weapon damage is 2 pieces, and the 10% damage to elites is when you have 3 pieces, so bear that in mind as I go through all these pieces of gear. That's obviously a very good PvE gear set there. Then we've got the China Light Industries Corporation, which has plus 8% shotgun damage, followed by plus 10% all resistance, and then plus 10% skill haste. All resistance isn't really a great stat within the Division currently. I'd hope that they are going to make it more of a stat within the Division 2, which is why I can see it added in here. And if we move on to the next one, you'll see that actually you can build up that all resistance pretty quickly. So the next piece of gear is called Richter and Kaiser GmbH. This has plus 20% pistol damage, plus 15% shield, skill power, and then plus 10% all resistance. So you can imagine having 2 pieces of China Light on and then having 3 pieces of Richter Kaiser. Not only does that give you, that gives you 20% extra all resistance, and it does appear that we are actually going to be getting a shield within the Division 2 as per the second perk on this, plus 50% shield skill power. So confirmation shields are going to be coming back into the Division 2, and that would make sense with the 20% pistol damage. Now will we be able to use SMGs and on our shields within the Division 2? We just don't know at this point, but I would go as far to say that with these talents alone, it appears we're only going to be able to use pistol with the shields within the Division 2, but we'll have to wait and see. Now moving on, we got the Heralder Holdings. I probably butchered the name, but the first part is 5% MMR damage, followed by 10% headshot damage, followed by 10% accuracy. Pretty standard sniper build there, MMR builds, a lot like Hunter's Faith in some ways, and a little bit like Sentries as well. Moving on, we've got the Wyvern Wear, giving us 7% critical hit damage, 5% headshot, and then 10% critical hit chance. This to me sounds like probably a good build for an assault rifle, giving you that extra crit chance and damage. And then the headshot damage, if you can obviously hit your headshots, hopefully they're important within the Division 2 in PvE and PvP, and give you that extra headshot damage, allowing you to down your enemies a lot quicker. Moving on, we have the Sokolov Concern, which gives us plus 10% SMG damage, 8% crit hit damage, and 10% crit hit chance. That's very much an SMG build, very much in PvP, that'll be great with an SMG. Of course, these figures, at this point, we just don't know whether these percentages are going to be balanced at this point. This is simply what we know from the trailer and all the footage we've seen at E3. Moving on, we have the Petroff Defense Group. Gives us 8% LMG damage, 10% turret skill power, and then 10% skill haste. So this is an LMG build. It gives you some sort of, obviously the turret skill power means that you could probably you're going to sit behind cover, mount your SMG, and then if you have anyone rushing you, then you've got your turret there to protect you for the meantime. And obviously the skill haste goes along with the turret there. So this is kind of similar to not similar to a Lone Star build, but a little bit more focused on electronics and using an LMG. And then lastly, the Providence Defense, kind of in the title. We have plus 4% weapon damage, we have plus 10% skill power, and then we have the Provident talent, which is called Well-Rounded. Crit hit chance bonus for 6 seconds when completing a cover-to-cover move. Which is very strange that this is the only piece of gear at this point which has a talent as the third piece of gear, or third piece of brand gear that you'd have on your character. A little bit odd that we've got that on that one and not on the rest of them, but crit hit chance bonus for 6 seconds when completing a cover-to-cover move. It's not exactly clear what the crit hit chance bonus is, so they would need to make that clear, and that's kind of like Nimble, but obviously with this you get extra damage or crit chance as opposed to Nimble where you get extra heal. So let's move on to all the gear talents confirmed at this point. Moving on to the confirmed gear talents, we do know at this point that stamina, firearms and electronics have been removed from the Division 2, and instead we're going to get gear talents that will come with or without certain requirements for your build. So the first one is called Devastating, which gives plus 5% weapon damage. We've then got Insulated, given plus 25% hazard protection. So to me that screams the Dark Zone, going into certain areas that require this level of protection. This is obviously a very good talent for that. Then we've got Rapid, 10% skill cooldown reduction, followed by Surgical, giving us plus 8% crit hit chance. We then got Vital, plus 20% health hardened and plus 10% armor. I mean, that sounds very, very strong. We know armor within the Division 2 is going to be very powerful in that it gives a... I know it's got a massive role within the Division 2. At this point, I don't know enough about armor in order to make a video about it, but I will be doing that in the future, and I have no idea what health hardened means, so we'll have to wait and see. We've then got Critical, given plus 8% crit hit damage. We've got Empowered, given plus 10% skill power. We've then got Striking, plus 15% damage to elites. Obviously a very important talent if you're going to be playing PvE against elite enemies. We've then got Steady Nerves. Destroying armor or weak points grants 50% weapon stability for 4 seconds. Requires no 4 auto weapons equipped. And that's, of course, in order for you to get that Steady Nerves perk, you have to have a requirement. And we are going to get that on certain talents. We've then got Precise, plus 15% headshot damage. You're going to definitely be having that if you've got a sniper build. And of course, if you mix that with the gear talent from earlier on, I believe it was called the Alraldi Holdings, giving you that 5% MMR damage, that headshot damage, then that seems like a pretty good mix of those two. And then we've got Hit and Run. Melee kills grant a speed boost for 2 seconds. Requires under 70,000 armor. Now at this point, I don't know how easy it is to get armor under 70,000 or how hard it is to get it over. I'm not sure at this point, so I can't say whether that's going to be easy to do or not, but it doesn't appear that that's going to be a very useful talent for only 2 seconds of speed boost, but of course we'll have to wait and see. Now those are the confirmed gear talents, so let's move on to the weapon talents. Lastly, agents, let's talk about the weapon talents that have been confirmed within the Division 2. Just to note, the pool of weapon talents has been reduced for the Division 2, and there's only 1 talent per weapon. At least that's what I believe. I can't say if that's confirmed or not, because I've heard other rumours or news that actually that's not true, and there is going to be, you'll be able to get multiple talents on higher rarities of weapons. I just don't know at this point, and if I do find out, I'll of course let you know. So let's start off with the first talent. It's called Pyro Maniac. Damage done to targets on fire is increased by 15%. Requires over plus 10% weapon damage. So that particular talent, you need a requirement in order to activate it. We then got Lock and Load. Reloading from empty increases weapon damage by 20% for 5 seconds. That seems pretty strong. If you've got a very small magged weapon and you decide to use something like a heavy magazine spring, increasing the rate of fire as opposed to actually increasing the mag size, and then you've got something which decreases your reload speed, you can imagine that you'd be able to do a lot of damage with this particular talent. We then got Close and Personal. Kills while close double neck shot damage. Sounds, I believe that's a shotgun talent mainly. We've got Hemorrhage. Killing a bleeding target increases critical hit chance by 25% for all group members for 10 seconds. Sounds pretty strong. We then got Unrelenting. Hitting enemies is increasing chance by 5%. This bonus stacks up to 10 times. Missing a target removes all stacks. This is what a lot of people got confused, and they thought that this was some sort of striker within the Division 2. It's not true. It's simply this talent. So you build up stacks to increase your crit chance, and if you miss, it removes all the stacks. Moving on, we got Kill Confirmed. Headshot kills grant plus 10% damage. Stacks up to 10 times. All non-headshot resets the bonus. Requires over 140% headshot damage. Again, I don't know how hard it is to reach that requirement, but that seems like a pretty strong talent there, especially on PC with people who are amazing at using snipers for headshots in PvE. This will be a very strong talent. Then we got Sadist. Damage done to bleeding targets is increased by 15%. Requires 15% crit hit chance. And then lastly, I believe we've got Cauterize. Damage done to targets on fire for 5% of damage done. So that doesn't really make sense to me. Damage done to targets on fire for 5% of damage done. So I believe that depending on how much damage you've done to that target, it does an extra 5%. I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't really make sense at this point. So yeah, there you go. I think at this point, it's clear to see that Massive need to do a good idea of making these talents, at least from what I can tell, provide more information about what it's going to offer you. It needs to give specific numbers. It can't just say, you know, you're going to get damage done to an extra target for 15 seconds following X, Y, and Z. It needs to tell you how much damage you're going to be doing. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be one of those situations where you have to go online or watch videos to understand how to actually get the best out of the builds or the talents that are on your weapons and gear. So that needs to be better. With that said, I understand a lot of people don't want massive descriptions on what these talents are. Make it as simple as possible, but make sure they include the actual amount of whatever it is so that people can easily figure out which ones are the best ones for them. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, if you do enjoy it, then drop a like. If you're subscribed, turn on notifications. If you're not, then subscribe if you want to see daily Division videos. Until the next one, Epic out.